Right, this is my 1948 Chevy 1-ton. I started building this truck probably close to 10 years ago. At this point, I've actually had it on the road drivable the last couple of years now. When I originally got this truck, it had a dump bed on it, like a farm truck would have, sitting out in the middle of a field. Hadn't been ran forever. Had to come along it up on the trailer to drag it home. This truck, it is the original 48 front axle and drum brakes. The front axle's got all new brake shoe linings, kingpins, tie rod ends, the whole 9 yards. It's all basically a new front end. The only thing I haven't replaced on the front end is the wheel bearings. The rear axle is actually out of a 1978-ish Chevy 3/4 ton. So it has got a 14-bolt full floating rear axle. It's got 321 gears or something. Don't quote me 100% on that. It had 373s in it originally. I went with a little taller gear to help with driving down the highway. I extended the frame. The whole frame, with the exception of the rear axle, is the 48 Chevy truck frame. I stretched it out about 2 foot because I knew I wanted to put the sleeper on the back of it. And then, so I stretched the frame out about 2 foot and then went from there. Everything, paint-wise, everything I've done myself, even, stretching the frame, all that stuff. Most everything I tried to find either used or eBay, stuff like that. With the exception of like the tanks on the side, those were new purchases. The aluminum, that was new purchases, lights and stuff like that. But like the tires and wheels, they were all Craigslist purchases, stuff like that. The sleeper, that was a Craigslist purchase. I think I paid $200 for the sleeper. It works out pretty good. Still got some things I'd like to try and do. The horns, the air horns on top, they were given to me. A guy that used to drive a truck, and he had them off of one of his old trucks, and they do work. I don't have them hooked up yet. I've got compressor set up to run, but I just haven't got them hooked up yet. The old light in the center, it works. It was always hanging in the garage of my grandpa's place forever, and I got it, took it apart, cleaned it, put new bulbs in it, and it works good for a work light, backup light. These chrome stacks, they came off of, it was a Craigslist purchase as well. They were used stacks off of a truck. These West Coast mirrors, same thing. I got them off of eBay. They were actually a lot longer and had this little spot circle mirrors down below. I shortened them up, shortened up the pieces on the top there to make it kind of fit. The visor was on the truck when I bought it. I'm trying to think what else I had going on here. It does have electric wiper conversion done to it, so they work. All the interior work I've done myself. It's nothing to write home about, but it's better than what was in it originally. I've got a automatic transmission, 350 small block Chevy motor in it, and just a turbo 350 transmission. I got a low car shifter on it. This is the original e-brake from the 48, and it's actually hooked up and works. Got all my switches for headlights, marker lights, backup lights, ashtray all works. You can actually pass through, can't really see it because it's too dark, but you can pass through from the cab to the sleeper. I got seats, came out of a minivan, out of a salvage yard. The gauges are new, of course. Let's see here, this old girl, she hasn't been fired up for a while. Let's see what she does. This is the original key and switch out of the truck. Fires right up. The motor and transmission came out of a guy's barn. They were laying on the dirt floor of his barn when I bought them. I had no clue. Supposedly the motor was good to go, which I haven't done anything to the motor really, with the exception of clean it up. Everything's dirty now, but yeah, just a small block 350. Carburetor is a brand new carburetor. HDI distributor. The aluminum 4-barrel intake. This is a 1994 throttle body injection 350. So somebody before me had taken the TBI intake off and put on a 4-barrel intake, which was awesome. I did put on the aluminum water pump and the chrome alternator. Put in a new aluminum radiator cooling fan. It's got headers on it. It's a little tight squeeze with the steering box, but I was able to move the steering box out a little bit, make it work. Rewired the entire truck with a fuse panel. Got a little puke tank for the coolant. I don't have my heater put in yet. I do have, up there on the shelf, do have all the pieces for it. Hopefully this fall that'll be one of the things I get done, is getting the heater put back in it. Let's see. When I put the motor and transmission in this truck, I did buy cross members, motor mount cross member for the front and put in. And I've got one for the transmission and put in. And then of course I had to have a drive shaft made, so it was brand new. And I've got just a 1/2-inch piece steel put in for a cross member for the carrier bearing. Let's see here. The saddle fuel tanks, originally I was running those until I realized in the hot sun, if the sun is shining on one tank and not the other, it literally built up pressure and shoved all my fuel over to the other tank and poured it out the gas cap. So then I decided to quit running those, and so then I mounted me a fuel cell on the side of the bed here, 20-gallon fuel cell. A lot simpler to fill up and keep an eye on fuel wise, because before I had to get in here and fill it up that way. So that was kind of a pain in the butt. So any more of those are kind of for looks more than anything. But yeah, this truck's been doing pretty good. When I bought the motor and transmission, like I said, they come out of a guy's barn. I haven't done anything to the motor really. The transmission I did go through. We rebuilt it, which was a good thing because it had some burnt clutches and stuff in it. So I wish I had, when I started building this truck, I wish I had done videos on the build of it. But 10 years ago, I didn't have good quality cell phone or anything, had crappy internet, so it would have never really worked very good. I do have on my channel a slideshow video of different pictures of this build of this truck, so that's better than nothing. But I would like to, if I had it to do over, and I'm probably going to do it eventually anyway, put this whole setup on a newer chassis. The 48 chassis, it stops great. This thing actually runs down the interstate 75 miles an hour, no problem. Drives like a dream. But there's no power steering, it's just drum brakes all the way around, which they stop pretty good for its size. But it would be nice to have power steering and a little better brakes. So I'm on the lookout for a crew cab dually to put this setup onto. So eventually, maybe in the next few years, I'll find something and get that done. The only problem with that is the front end on these old trucks are narrower than the newer ones. So I'm sure you've probably seen where people have taken these old truck cabs and put them on 1-ton chassis, and the wheels tend to stick out a little further, which is no big deal. As long as you have clearance in your fender well to turn, it's fine. But anyway, I just figured I'd do a little walk around.